Welcome back, everyone, to another Company First 2 replay cast. This time, we're going to have a 2v2 sent in by the glorious Kvass, and he's playing as the Soviets. He even apparently played this game on 9 May, which is, yeah, okay, so he's gonna, as Dniom Pobiedy it up. Milius is his friend, and he's also the Soviets, and they're up against Mescaline as the Wehrmacht. VNH clan, I'm not sure if it's a clan or whatever, and his friend is going to be Howden. So 2 Wehrmacht versus 2 Soviets. Oh my god, man, holy hell! So yeah, it's going to be a bit of a classic brawl, a bit of a vanilla mashup. And yeah, we'll see how this goes. I mean, we already see some fuel caches going up for Mescaline. I wonder what he wants to do. He's getting a machine gun and a fuel cache, and no, tier 1. His friend is, of course, going for some tier 1 Wolf-8 Grenadier Squad and MG coming up for him. This is going to leave the Soviets quite a bit of map dominance at the start, actually. Both considering that Mescaline used 250 manpower to build a fuel cache, and considering that there's a lot of MGs coming for the Nazis, we're not going to have as much capping power or versatility on the field for them. So yeah, that's fine. It's fine as it is. Okay, combat engineer team taking up some points, and we're gonna see again. Looks like there's going to be a bit of a scuffle for the north, which the Germans are likely to win because they're sending a lot more units, 1 versus 3 for the Allies. But the Allies have 3 units in the center, so some of these can move up to support. We'll see. There is a bit of heavy cover up here with the truck, but the Soviets right now. Wasn't there a tractor here somewhere? I distinctly remember that there used to be a tractor around here. Maybe I'm getting confused with the south. Yeah, right, that's the south with the tractor. Anyway, seems like, yeah, because of this, the conscripts are going to have to escape out of here, and it is very, very likely that this machine gun can just simply fortify up the northern flank and, you know, hold it against any enemy threats, such as this Penal Battalion that's coming through. We'll see about the Penal Battalion, as in the south right now, it seems like Milius has caught an MG42 off guard, and is probably going to use the firepower of his rifles. Maybe not to kill it completely, but to force it away. That's good. And now he can use his conscripts to cut off the fuel point from enemy supply. So that would be pretty good for him. Some conscripts, again, 3 conscripts versus 1 MG. This MG is not in the best of positions because of the little tiny shack that it is using. I mean, you can have the combat engineers draw fire, as Milius is doing, and then come back around from the side with the conscripts, throwing a Molotov cocktail right into the wooden shack, which, as you can imagine, isn't all that nice to the crew of the machine gun that's hiding in it. Taking a lot of damage and almost completely getting wiped out. Another Molotov comes and hits the side of the barn. And now they're going to try to escape through negative cover, which is a very, very bad move for them. And they're probably going to give up the machine gun to the Soviet troops. So that's a first victory for our Soviet players. Very nice for them, obviously. And that's always kind of the problem with having a lot of MGs. Because if you have a lot of MGs, it is very, very easy for said MGs to be dropped. You have more to manage. You have more to give, so it's not as good, not as easy to keep them, keep their flanks covered, and such and so forth. We have a sniper on the field for Kvass. We'll see how he can use it. Of course, in the north side of the map, he can have a lot of opportunities to use the sniper. Well, as a whole, involve farmlands. There's a lot of opportunities to use the sniper correctly and to great effect. Yet again, machine gun forced to retreat. However, because of the fuel cache, we have the Mescaline is a little bit ahead on the teching. Compared to other players, he's got a flame half-track coming through, which could be very, very bad. Milius did spend some of that fuel on Molotovs, but he's actually going to go for anti-tank grenades. Wonder if this is like an educated guess or just a random purchase that he decided to go for. Still, it is good for him that he has that, because otherwise the flame half-track would be a very, very nasty little piece of business. Sniper just already picking off some Germans. contributing to the liberation of the motherland and all that. And now, yeah, I'm guessing that this Grenadier squad is not going to have an easy time. Oh, instant retreat on the sniper. He could have just moved, like, behind these bushes or something. Mortar half-tracks. Okay, so Howden goes for Blitzkrieg. Sorry, not Blitzkrieg. Spearhead. And that's okay. That's okay. Oh boy, that machine gun. That is exactly what you don't want to see if you're a machine gun. Flame half-track coming through when you're in a building. Nope. He's gonna try to escape. Of course, he's taking a lot of damage while doing that. And oh, the machine gun decided to set up before retreating. So that guaranteed the destruction of the machine gun. Of course, even if the machine gun had been escaping, probably the flame half-track could have just chased it down and killed it mercilessly. And now the Pioneers are gonna take the machine gun again, but they're burning. They're getting burned. They're getting burned. They're getting burnied. Feel the burn. That was not exactly the best thing ever for those Pioneers. Panzer Grenadiers also on the field for Mescaline, of course, going straight to that tier 2, needs some infantry, goes for Panzer Grenadiers instead of normal Grenadiers. In the meantime, so it seems like this Flame Half-Track's days of murder, well, are continuing because only 2 anti-tank grenades from 2 conscript squads. Should have had a third one, and had he had a third one, he would have been able to destroy the Flame Half-Track. However, unfortunately for Milius, he just wasn't equipped. He has a lot of manpower in the bank. I wonder what he's going to use it for. I mean, he is advanced warfare, so up until the late game, he's not going to have any real off-map options. Oh boy, another anti-tank grenade. Will there be more anti-tank grenades? No, this is just a bluff hurrah. And, well, it's likely that these 2 Grenadier squads will just absolutely mow down the conscripts. And, yeah, they're going to try to get back to HQ. They're going to take a lot of damage running through negative cover and getting hit by a 20mm autocannon. Not exactly the best combination. And it will be a predictable wipe of the conscript squad. So, right now, Kvas really starting to lose out on his superiority off the right side of the map. And that's not good because that allows the Germans to capture the fuel point in the north. They already are getting the fuel point of the south. And if they can shoot ahead of the game in terms of fuel, partially with the fuel cache, this is going to help as well. Well, they're going to have a very, 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 very good base to work with in the late game. Pino's unfortunately not going to win at long range against these 2 Grenadiers, unfortunately for Kvas, of course. More Panzer Grenadiers on the field. This time it's Howden that is going for Panzer Grenadiers. And oh, see, yep, we can see this, not the shock troops, the Papa Shock conscripts starting to make their mark, getting a nice Molotov on that machine gun, destroying it. So that is the 2nd MG that goes down for Mescaline, and he's still got a 3rd one down here, but I mean, it's not really participating in the battle anymore. So this is really starting to open up the possibilities for the Soviet infantry to do a lot more than they have been doing right now. Their only big problem at this point is going to be the Flame Half-Track and the stupid amount of Panzer Grenadiers that the Germans seem to be relying on. So, considering that the Panzer Grenadiers at close range are going to obliterate normal conscripts, this is going to make the Papa Shah units from Milius a lot more important to deal with these Panzer Grenadiers. Unfortunately, right now, Panzer Grenadiers are really showing their might, as you can see, destroying yet another conscript squad. Goes down the drain, sacrificed for the safety and security of the citizens of the Soviet Union. Probably shouldn't have sacrificed them, though. So the Soviets really need to start to rein in their losses of units, otherwise later on, they're going to start to be without veterancy, without units. And that wouldn't be good now, would it? 2 conscripts already lost on their part. We have a Su-76 coming on the field for Kvas, who has picked the Soviet industry. I'm not sure about the Su-76 pick. Of course, this is meant to deal with the Flame Half-Track and partially the 222 Scout Car. But if I were them, I would have gone for a T-70 because that would be a lot more useful against these. I guess though, with all these Panzer Grenadiers on the field, the calculation might just be that, well, they're gonna get some Panzerschrecks. I might as well just get something that can deal with the Flame Half-Track, and yet another conscript squad is burned. So, really starting to get pretty nasty for the Soviets. They need to find some way to turn this around and get some wipes on the Germans. Otherwise, the Germans will be in a very, very good position. And oh no, the sniper is in trouble now. He's gonna get found by the glorious scout car. Of course, the glorious scout car decides to not chase it down and just instead deal with some engineers. Not quite sure why. Probably just afraid of whatever could be in the south, such as the Su-76M. Su-76, which knows what it must do. It has heard the voice of Comrade Stalin calling it to battle, period, which means forward. And so he's just gonna charge at that 222 scout car, and in fact, he's gonna find it, absolutely miss the first round, and alert the enemy of its position. Absolutely miss the second round as well. Panzer Tactician goes down from the STKFZ 222, and the Su-76 still chases through, despite the fact that he did not know what was waiting for him. He's also still taking autocannon fire from the German armored car, which is not good. Panzerschrecks, exactly what was worrying the Soviets so much about, or rather what the Soviets were worrying so much about, come in and indeed destroy the Su-76. That was a very unfortunate chase. You never chase with, well, I mean, not never, but you mostly never chase with Soviet tank destroyers. These are defensive weapons. In the meantime, the Flame Half-Track is absolutely going on a massive rampage, and now he's just continuing to just charge down every Soviet unit in its path. Another Flame Half-Track joins the fray. It's a second one. So I guess things are always better in pairs, and there's no two without three. That's an Italian proverb or whatever. So I guess that would be like 3 times the charm? Although it's not exactly the same thing now, is it? Still has to deal with 3, but it's not exactly the same meaning. Nope. Anyway, 2 Flame Half-Track. That's a... I'm not sure that I agree with this decision. Mescaline also has 200 fuel in the bank. He's gonna go for a Pak 40, and he has stolen a ZIS 76mm divisional field gun, which means that for AT he's gonna be pretty much set. He's also got a Panzerschreck squad, and that's not good. Sorry, not. It's not good. It's good. There's also a Panzerschreck squad for Howden, and there's also a Panzer IV coming for him. Mescaline has spent some of his fuel, which means that he's going for tier, well, something. Battle Phase 2, definitely. How can the Soviets deal with this? Milius actually even called GG, or GG if you're Russian. And yeah, this it's looking pretty bad for the Soviets, but it's definitely not GG, considering that, well, it's 13 minutes into the game. Pretty much there's almost no way at 13 minutes into the game it's already GG, unless you went for like 3 snipers and then the enemy killed them all or something. In that case, it would be GG. But it's not GG right now. There is Soviet industry. There is advanced warfare tactics. So there's a lot of potential late game that the Soviet players can tap into. And what they can also do is something like this. They can also catch the enemies by surprise. Here comes a nice flank. However, there's going to be a counter flank from a couple of German infantry squads, and that's of course going to be easy enough to repel. There is the Maxim machine gun continuing to fire on the German troops there. Yet more anti-tank grenades hitting the STKFZ Flame Half-Track might lead to its demise as the conscripts of Papashah's absolutely bursting into its rear armor. However, here comes number 2, or rather number 1, as he's the veteran one, and does a lot of damage to the offending conscript squad. Yet more Flame Half-Track punishment is going to come through as he decides to set its sights on the Maxim machine gun with the support of the Panzer IV. How can the Soviets repel this push with tanks? Well, there's a couple of AT guns coming through for Kvass. Here comes the first one. Tries to get some good shots on the Panzer IV. The Panzer IV is just out in the open asking for it. However, here comes the second German vehicle that they need to be afraid of. The Flak, not the Flak, the Flame Half-Track. Flame Half-Track gets behind the STKFZ, not the STKFZ, the ZIS. The ZIS is gonna be burned to death. However, the STKFZ Flame Half-Track is also taking a lot of damage from these anti-tank grenades. In the meantime, there's a couple of Soviet troops capturing the south side, not really participating in this battle at all, which is a bit of a shame. And right now, the Panzer IV plus Half-Track plus armored car force is going to push down. There goes the Flame. The Flame is dead. Long live the Flame. And despite all the problems for the German push, it is still going to be very effective. What they can also do is take this anti-tank gun and prevent the Soviets from grabbing it again and using it against the German vehicles. So the German mechanized forces really coming through here and making sure that the Allies just don't even have an inch to work with. Forcing yet again the anti-tank gun back onto the base. However, yeah, this Panzer Grenadier squad probably just has to escape. And yeah, the Soviets are now trying desperately to hold this whole area. We have a bit of a flanking move coming in, and actually this is going to be pretty good as they are flanking around the AT guns. So one AT gun probably going to go down, and the second one is very, very damaged. So it does not look like these AT guns are going to survive. Even the Panzer Grenadier squad is in very, very big jeopardy as it is very low on HP, but it does not die to the Papasha fire. Two AT guns completely decrewed, and actually the entire German force is going to retreat for almost no reason, even though they could have just turned around and killed the Soviet troops, which is going to allow these Soviet troops to accrue the AT guns and get the hell out of Dodge, which is, well, pretty good for them. Here comes the first T-34-85 for Milius, and Kavas, crucially enough, is up to 10 CPs, which means that in 4 more CPs, he's going to have the KV-2 heavy assault tank, very strong. And, well, the P4 is still kind of owning the field. But these two AT guns are now dangerously close to Allied lines. We're going to see if the Germans can acquire these once again for their arsenal, or if they're going to be retaken by the Soviet army. If I were the Soviets and the Germans, well, if I were in this game, I would, of course, prioritize the Pak 40 AT gun, as it is a little tiny bit better than these S3. But hey, that's just preference. It's not. It's better. Oh boy. This Panzer Grenadier squad is going to get absolutely thrashed by Papashas. Oh no! Well, okay. Ooh, Panzer IV command tank and Tier 4 coming through for Mescaline. Mescaline. Interesting. Wonder what he's going to go for from the heavy Panzer Corps. Maybe a Panzerwerfer, actually. He's almost got enough resources, he just needs a little bit more manpower. And he's got enough fuel. But considering that he went for the command Panzer, and he's got a bunch of Panzer Grenadiers, I feel like he's going to go for the Panther. And I would agree. Although the Panzerwerfer would also be pretty useful. And oh boy, the Soviets can actually reclaim these AT guns, and that is actually more important than you may think. Well, you probably think it's important. Because of course, 4 AT guns is better than 0, before they had 0. And 4 AT guns is definitely more than enough to deal with 2 Panzer IVs. And yeah, a lot of the Axis advantages came from their Panzer superiority right now. And with these 3 Panzer IVs being very heavily challenged by the AT guns, if the AT guns can concentrate into one point and build sort of an anti-tank strong point, an anti-tank blockhouse, where these anti-tank guns can support each other. Perhaps you have 2 AT guns, like this one in the front, and then you have the other 2 AT guns covering its rear. I'm not sure where the other AT guns are, they're back at base. Then that would be pretty good. Of course, it's not happening. And this is allowing the Axis to just pick these off one by one. But as you can see, interlocking fields of fire, mutually supporting fire is very, very good. T-34-85 also is being pushed on by the 2 P4s, which is not the best idea ever, as the T-34-85 is more than a match for these Panzer IVs. Panzer IV command tank tries to charge across the T-34, which is a terrible decision as its stubby 75mm absolutely doesn't have the firepower to deal with the frontal armor of the T-34. He charges in way too aggressively and gets absolutely smashed by an ambush of anti-tank guns. In the meantime, in the north, anti-tank guns are trying to deal with the last German armor up here, and they're getting destroyed by German infantry because they are completely unsupported, so a bit of a give or take for the Soviets. They take those 2 Panzers and they lose these 2 AT guns. I would say that the AT guns are a little bit more valuable. And these Panzers are going to be repaired one day. Oh no. Oh no. Please, Howden. Please. You have 2 Panzerschreck. Okay? 2 Panzerschrecks on your unit. You know what you can do? You can attack round onto the AT gun, or attack move onto the AT gun. And kill it in like 2 volleys. You should probably do it. And yeah, just prevent them from getting these again, even if you don't want them. Just prevent them from having them. Prevent them. You know, them. It's us or them. Anyway, the Germans are in a very good position when it comes to the VPs, but oh boy, Scouts, Sniper Squad in trouble? Maybe not. This is not the best move ever. It's gonna be pretty easy for the Germans to destroy these AT guns if they continue this way, but oh boy, fire! No! Aw. Armor car one step ahead of the Soviet AT guns. In the south, it seems like Milius is actually going to cap the VP, which is of course pretty important because they were under the effects of triple cap. Not the best thing ever. Brummbär? Are you kidding me? Ja, ich bin ein Brummbär. Not sure about the Brummbär, honestly. Right now, the Brummbär, like, sure, useful against infantry, but the Germans, like, must be thinking about, like, what the Allies are going to do for late game, and oh boy, that was sad. Like, they must be thinking about what the Allies are going to do for their late game, right? And, well, I mean, they've seen the Soviet transport plane come in, so they probably know that the Allied supply drop exists. So they probably know that there's a pretty high chance that they're going to meet a KV-2 heavy assault tank soon. And they've also seen Papa Shah conscripts, which can mean one of few things. It can mean Soviet shock army. It can mean, of course, advanced warfare. It could mean conscript support. But, I mean, like, what do they think is happening? They've also seen the T-34-85, to be fair. So, if they've seen the T-34-85s, they know that this guy is advanced warfare. Because no other Papa Shah plus T-34-85 exists. So, honestly, if I were the Germans, like, I would be starting to think about AT. Not really sure why that railway went down here, but hey, it had its effect. Ooh, Su-85 instead of just waiting for the KV-2. Not sure I agree, because I like the KV-2. And here we are. Brummbär really starting to have its fun with the Soviet conscripts. And yeah, Panzerwerfer on the field for Mescaline. Not a bad decision. It's going to help deal with the AT guns and the conscripts as well because of its glorious suppression. Oh boy, more AT grenades. And this is not good as the AT grenade is going to hit with the Su-85. The Su-85 can now chase down this Panzer IV. Is there anything for the Germans that can help? Well, I see this Panzer IV in a prime position for an enveloping move behind the Su-85, but it's actually not moving, which is of course pretty bad. Here comes the Panzer IV finally, not before the Panzer IV should have died, but the Su-85 missed. Panzerwerfer barrage absolutely destroys one of those conscript squads. The Panzer IV is dead. However, the second Panzer IV is getting behind the Su-85. T-34-85s spring a counter ambush on the Panzer IV, but they miss completely as well. Very unlucky right now for the Soviet players to just have so many misses on their vehicles, and I'm not sure what this Su-85 is doing. When there's two targets down here to shoot at, it's just looking at the north for some insane reason. T-34-85s moving down. Are the Germans and the Soviets going to bring any more forces to support in this fight? Well, it doesn't seem like that yet. The Panzer IV is in a very bad position, surrounded by T-34s, and with the Su-85 to the front, it does go down. And now the Brummbär is also in deep SHIT, but here comes some railway artillery. Not really going to be the most accurate thing ever. Probably enough to scare the Soviet tanks away, though. And oh wow, that was incredibly unlucky for the Soviets. The hit did register on the T-34-85. And yeah, these two AT guns still not taken. Had these AT guns been German, these T-34s would have all died. So this is actually kind of annoying because the Germans could have won the game right now, probably. Because had those T-34s gone down, I don't see how the Allies would have recovered. But as it stands, the Allies still have a tank force. They have still managed to conserve some of their armor. They have managed to inflict some good damage on Germany. And now they can come back with a vengeance. They're still behind when it comes to map control and VPs, but as long as they have this force ready to go, they can probably try to get themselves back into this game relatively easily. As I said, they've got a couple of very, very nasty late game doctrines. So it's not like the Allies are going to be that far behind when it really gets hectic. Panzer are going to miss. And the Brummbär is actually dead as well, thanks to the help of this S3. So, yeah, it's now the Germans that are out of vehicles, and they're going to be ceding the initiative to the Allies, because with all the vehicles, the Allies can just kind of strike where they want and get out before the Germans get there with their slow infantry. And Flak Panzer Ostwind also being on the field is not a bad thing for the Germans, but if I were Howden, I would have gone for Tiger right away, and then probably have gone for a more versatile vehicle than the Ostwind, because sure, having anti-infantry may not be bad, but right now you've seen the T-34-85s, you've seen the Su-85s, so you should probably be thinking about anti-vehicle and, well, in general, units that aren't going to be helpless against those 85mm equipped Soviet tanks. Also, a lot of wipes coming in on the German infantry. As you can see, Meskelin is left to only 2 squads. There goes the armored car. And with only 2 squads, he's not going to be contributing all that much to the fight. Only 26 pop cap for him. Whereas there's 88 for Howden. And not too much of that is infantry. We've got a Panzergrenadier squad, we've got a Grenadier squad, and we've got a Panzergrenadier with Panzerschrecks, which is not going to be too effective against the conscripts of Papa Shah's. Yet another wipe on the Panzergrenadiers. So really, the Soviets skyrocketing ahead of the Germans in both vehicles and infantry, the 2 main realms of map control, really. While the Germans still have some good units under their belt, it's really the Allies that are going to start to surge ahead at this point, I would say. Really now? That was pretty pathetic. Yeah, this Panzerwerfer has been a bit of a disappointment, but I still can see why he purchased it. I think it's... yeah, I still think it was a pretty good move. Now, however, it's looking likely like these 2 T-34-85s might just come in and ruin its day. Nicely coordinating with a T-34-76 from the other flank, it seems like the Allies are preparing for a bit of a pincer movement. We're going to have Kvas moving in from the north and Milyukov. Jesus fucking Christ, Milius. If you know who Milyukov is, good job. But yeah, just got confused there a little bit because, you know, Russians, peoples. And yeah, Milius coming from the south, Kvas coming from the north. That would not be bad. Sniper's still around. 17 kills. It's been definitely a bit of a conservative sniper. Hasn't done anything too aggressive, hasn't been too close to the front line, but because of this, it has survived. And it is still a threat at this point in the late game because of it. So I would say that it was worth it to keep it so safe. Of course, now it needs to really make that count, cash in on the fact that his sniper is still around. Okay, we've got the big push. So we've got the two tanks from Kvas. They're moving forward, and of course they're gonna meet the Tiger and the Ostwind. There is a Panther on the field for Meskelin. Wait, he canceled the Panther and decided to go for a Brummbär. 9. Well, of course the Brummbär does show itself a very, very nice bit of killing, and other than that, though, it's not going to be able to do much to help. It can't do anything against 3 T-34-85s. Call the police. This is a gang rape, please. Call the police. Позвонить в милицию, пожалуйста. And, well, unfortunately, there goes the Brummbär. In the meantime, another kind of animal is not a bear. It is a tiger. And the Tiger is going to fight the tiny bears, the bear cubs, the T-34-85s. However, it's in a bit of trouble because... oh, okay, never mind. Cool down. Never mind. I thought that these guys still had those anti-tank grenades. However, this guy is in trouble. And what happened to the Su-85? Looks like the Tiger got its way with the Su-85s and really did a lot of hurt on them. Railway artillery support being called on the German positions in a bit of a desperate move to just get those T-34s away. get them off of me, he was saying. A bit like in a bad action movie. Anyway, Tiger and Ostwind are gonna be way more than enough to hold the center, except the center's still, you know, or rather it's already allied in terms of the cap. And please, yes, okay, crew the AT gun, and crewing the AT gun plus the Pak-40, that means that they can pretty easily deal with these German tanks. In the north, we've got the sniper just capping some points. He's completely destroyed the machine gun crew, and now he can cap the VP with a sniper, which is pretty funny. AT gun once again being kind of wiped out, probably by the mortar. Well done by the mortar. Oh boy, Pak moves up, and there's actually a reinforcement bunker on the field for Howden right now, but oh, da Tavarish, KV-2 heavy assault tank on the field. Yes, glorious. Fucking Commissar Dimitrov, even though that's more of a Bulgarian name or something. I don't know, just Dimitrov just screams Bulgarian to me. Fucking Commissar Kuznetsov on top of the KV-2, even though they're not supposed to have commissars, but he clearly is just not happy with these German pigs. He's got, like, chevrons. Huh. Well. That's a lot of detail on that uniform. Hello. Uh-oh. The cap's not that detailed. Oh well. So KV-2 is coming in, and the glorious thing about the KV-2 is that it is fucking awesome against every kind of unit that is around right now. Like, there's no units over here that can really deal with the KV-2, because Tiger too weak. Of course, there's a bit of an issue, okay? Right now, the KV-2 to really effectively fight here. Oh, nice ram. Here comes the KV-2 fire on the Tiger plus the Su-85. As you can see, massive damage coming in from both of these vehicles. The KV-2 is taking a lot of fire from the Pak-40, but thanks to the support of these units, the Tiger is dead. KV-2 takes a lot of damage and main gun is destroyed, but it is going to run away. Ostwind is obliterated by the anti-tank fire coming from the Soviet lines and the Soviet infantry plus the T-34 85s, which are going to be coming back around soon to flank down from the south. Probably going to be enough to hold the center with the Tiger dead. Howden has a lot of resources. He could wait for a second Tiger. Mescaline, however, is very much out of resources, and he's decided to build a Panzer IV command tank, or rather call in a Panzer IV command tank. Not the smartest choice he could have made, I would say. Because to be completely honest, like, what is he gonna do with a Panzer IV command tank? Shoot at conscripts? I mean, yeah, sure, support his infantry, good. But, like, he needs something to deal with the big enemy vehicles, you know, the advanced late-game Soviet armor, which is nothing to be laughed at. It may not be German. It's not as good as the German one, but it is some pretty solid hardware that the Soviets can bring on the field. There goes finally that pesky Vet-2 mortar crew. And now the Soviets are pushing up against that glorious reinforcement bunker. Of course, here comes the Panzer IV to try to prevent this. There are conscripts with AT grenades. Rear armor hit, AT grenade destroys the engine, and with the Su-85 over here, probably... Oh, he misses. See, the problem with how using the KV-2, in fact, using a lot of direct fire over here with this, like, terrain is that there's this road embankment that's, as you can see, slightly raised above, right? So this blocks a lot of shots, and what you have to do with the KV-2 to defeat that is that you need to use the firing position mode, the stationary mode. In the meantime, Panzer IV is dead because the Germans can't cover their flanks anymore. So what you should have, or would rather Kvas could have done is he could have just positioned this KV-2 a little bit further back and used the firing position, because then it kind of ignores terrain penalties. It fires over these terrain obstacles, and then from that it could have easily dealt with the Tiger as well, because the Tiger was kind of hiding behind the road embankment. But hey, it's not that important anymore, as the Soviets are just, as I said, the Axis just kind of gave the Soviets the initiative. They just literally gave it up. Instead of continuing their pressure, which was doing very well, pushing them down to the base, doing the same thing to the south to get the triple cap secured, instead of doing that, they decided to play very defensively, which played straight into the hands of the Soviet players who could deal with the Panzer IVs, because the Panzer IVs, like, you're supposed to be using these things aggressively. Whereas in this case, they weren't really exploited while they were the most important tank force around. The Axis also let the Allies recapture the AT guns, which made sure that these Panzer IVs weren't as effective as they could have been when they finally did participate in the fight. And then at one point or another, the Allies could just easily get, you know, counters to these P4s. Afterwards, the counters that they got to the P4s, you know, Su-85s and lots of AT guns and T-34 85s, they were also pretty useful against what the Germans got later in terms of the Tiger and the Brummbär. So because of the fact that the Germans couldn't really adapt to what the Soviets were doing and they couldn't really keep up the initiative, they, well, got pretty cucked in the end. So yeah, that's going to be the end. I want to thank you all for watching. Hope you've enjoyed. I'll see you soon. All of that. Blah, blah, blah. Have a good day.